Awesome.
All right, so
Tell me when.
we're here on Safe Spaces. I'm here joined by one of my closest friends, if not my closest friend, Charlie Reznikoff, and Charlie does a lot of interesting things. He's got a lot of different hobbies, a lot of different interests, and he's probably the most passionate person I've ever met. So I just want to give Charlie the opportunity to introduce himself, and then we'll get into it.
Wow, Scott, really, yeah, awesome. That's really nice of you to say. And I think a lot, you talked about being great friends with people. A lot of part of that is pushing each other to be great. And you definitely played a role in what I've accomplished. And I hope to play a minor role in what you've accomplished thus far. We've always joked about, I'm going to be on your podcast one day when you're rich and successful. And it's exciting to be here. And it's great to get the mind talking and people listening. And it's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, and this is actually for our listeners out there. This is the second time we've done this. The first time we did it was in the shed at Charlie's residence, just impromptu on voice recordings, and I thought that one actually turned out pretty good. But that one was definitely more basketball focused. Today we want to talk about life. We definitely are going to get into basketball, but there's so much to what is Charlie Reznikoff that we're just going to try to get behind it today. And Charlie, I don't know if you have any agenda or anything you want to get out in the open before, but I could just hop into questions if you want.
Oh, go right ahead. I love the listening format. You talk, I'll listen. I talk, you listen. It's great.
For
Go
sure.
ahead.
Well, so Charlie, first off, tell everyone where you are right now.
Okay, right now, currently, I am in my residence in Eilat, Israel. That's Eilat. It's the southern part of Israel. I'm about 5 miles from Jordan and about 15 and change miles from Egypt. And I'm currently fulfilling my contract in my second year to play professional basketball over here. I play in the third division. There's 5 divisions in Israel of professional basketball, and currently I'm in the year. And I'm finishing right now. Actually, within a week or two, I'm planning my off season to come home back to the States.
That's awesome. Are you still talking?
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely a place that I can't explain. People are like, "What is it like?" I can't give them something to like a mark or landmark or something to say, "Oh, it's like this." It's like nothing I've ever experienced. Living in Israel, living in another culture, we forget all the time it's the Middle East, and so like the things that come with that, it's just really like nothing I've ever seen, and I'm grateful to experience it.
Definitely, definitely. And just so our listeners know, if we ever talk over each other, it's because the service isn't as good 30,000 miles away or however many miles it is. So give us some grace on that. But I think Charlie sounds good on the air, and it's great to have him here all the way from Israel. And so going off that, we actually talk about this a lot. It's a totalitarian country in a way. People call it democracy. I don't know what that really means, but there are some totalitarian influences in that nation. So talk to me about what it's like to live somewhere that has such a different government than the United States.
Yeah, well, start off. I mean, the thing about Israel, at least I joke and I say I'm in 2 years of ethnographic research, right? Like I'm just here immersed in the culture.
It's pretty good.
It's really a army-based country. You have to keep in mind the bordering countries are Syria, Jordan, Egypt, those Lebanon. So those are countries. We're not all, but some people in the countries really want Jews and Israelis to suffer. And so that needs to be taken into account. You will walk on the street and see guys, 19-year-old kids, with loaded automatic weapons, and they're just doing their job, patrolling the street. You'll see soldiers come in and put their Glock on the table and hi, how are you? And you're just sitting and having a meal. So as far as that, it's much more openly protected. The average Israeli, I think, pays more than half their income in taxes. Why is that? They got to protect the country. So, as far as the government based, I think their first mission and really their main focus is we can't sit here and talk about what tax code and how we want to, govern the counties if we're not even a country. And so the first and foremost is protecting the homeland. And you see that in every aspect of living here.
That's pretty cool. And you specifically are uniquely positioned to live in a place with automatic weapons and everything hanging around because you actually spent some time in Chicago, so that's probably the closest resemblance to Israel in the United States, I would guess.
I was luckily on the west end of Chicago, on the northern part, nicer side. But Israeli, like my teammates will joke with me, Scott. They'll say, like, Americans say, oh, Israel's not safe. There's bombings here and this there, but never in Israel ever has a teenager walked into a class and let the gun rip. And they say that all the time. No one has ever shot up a mall in Israel.
Wow.
No one has ever walked into a high school and taken their anger out in that way. And so that's so interesting, right?
That's fascinating.
Here they're looking at it at such a different perspective. And they joke all the time. We can't go to Walmart and get a cup of coffee and a gun. We can't do that here. So it's a real different education I'm getting.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you brought up the bomb thing. Again, we talk about this a lot. Tell me what it was like to live in the country of Israel while they were being bombed and while there was a national cause behind trying to wipe it off the face of the earth. Which, tell me what that's like, and also tell me about like the Iron Dome and what goes on there and how really put together the Israeli military is.
Wow, someone's well informed. Iron Dome. So yeah, last year, actually towards the end of the season, I get a text in the group chat. Like, this is crazy. I can never forget this. Practice canceled tonight due to the ongoing conflict. An example of the war. And so, like, that's the thing is, like, these players in the league, these guys, some of my teammates, are in the Army Reserves. They have to protect their country. So, of course, everything stops when there's an attack. And last year, there was, I think, over 400 rockets sent into the Tel Aviv area. I'm luckily 4 hours south. But it's like, it's something you can't imagine because at any moment there's rockets and you hear the sirens and you're just trying to – there's nothing I can do. I just sit in my apartment and wait until I have to go to work or have to go practice or get a workout. Everything stops. And it seemed much more anxiety-provoking for myself. The Israelis seemed like it was an average Tuesday. And that speaks to the country, how they grew up, how we grew up, very different. As far as the Iron Dome is, it's just to explain it real quick, it is this unbelievable amount of technology that's put in from, Israeli taxpaying, which is so high, that literally is an invisible dome that protects ongoing rockets and any type of air attack. And the Iron Dome will come out and shoot missiles out of the sky, and it covers almost all of Tel Aviv. And, Tel Aviv is not a small city. And they have the technology to where 400 rockets get shot over, maybe 390 of them are shot down. And that's extremely a very big deal for the people of Tel Aviv. It's just an extreme amount of danger that is avoided.
Yeah, no, and when you think about the Middle East, I'm going to maybe pull up a photo here of just what we're dealing with when it comes to Israel. They are surrounded by their enemies for the most part. Would you agree with that or no?
I would. That's the fact, actually. It's the truth.
What's that?
Is that it's surrounded by not only, and we got to be careful, right? Not all Jordanians are bad. Not all Egyptians are bad. There are some Arabs that I've actually befriended over here.
Same.
However,
I like people from Egypt, straight up. But I was also there during Ramadan, so everyone was on their best behavior. So I'm not sure if they really meant it. But one sec, let me pull this up real quick, just so our viewers can get a visual sense of this. I don't know how familiar they are with geography, but look at this. Look how small Israel is. And do you know what your guys' deal is with Lebanon or no?
Lebanon, there's no peace. Syria, there's no peace. Palestine, there's recent peace.
Also, what is Palestine? I don't see Palestine on this map.
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. Jordan. There's recent peace. And, wow, that's a big mistake. It's Jordan where there's recent peace. And Egypt, also there is peace. But, look at those countries around it. And then what would you do if I told you, look, during the COVID pandemic, during all the wars, Israel doesn't print money. You know that? The shekel is one of the strongest currencies in the world.
Did Israel not print money during the pandemic? Or maybe a little bit. But
not one shekel.
That's incredible. So they're going to be the reserve currency at some point.
I don't know if that's true, but it speaks to how strong the shekel is. And it speaks to how advanced Israeli technology is. You drive in a city like Haifa, for example, and you'll see your Google, your Dell, your IBM, really high-end technological public companies that are taking house in Israel, and that's not an accident.
Yeah,
So
I think.
if we get
Sorry, finish out. I think philosophers should really take a look at Israel, and obviously it goes back to some of the most basic things we know about human philosophy. But when you're faced with competition or you're faced with survival every day, great things happen. Like the innovation you were talking about, that's a result of being tested. Like your nation's, I don't know, legitimacy or like reality is being tested every single day. So the Israeli people are forced to really react that every single day and fight for their survival, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it definitely plays a role in the culture. It plays a role in who the Israeli is. Definitely more stern, definitely more blunt. Definitely less time for customer service and much more time for facts and statements and truth. It may come across rude. It is rude. I don't care really, because in my profession, you kind of need to have some rudeness to you.
Yeah.
But it's also the Israeli is a loving person and a passionate person, and I've met some teammates of mine who are going to be in my wedding along with you. So
pretty cool.
It's both ways. Yeah.
And are you going to have that wedding in Israel or are you going to have it here?
I'd like to have it in Israel. I'd like to marry an Israeli. There's something I love about the Israeli women. But
trust me too. I know.
Say it again.
No, I said trust me. I know about the Israeli woman. It's a different breed. It's a different beast. It's a better beast.
Yep. Yeah, it's a better beast. No, right now I'm not focusing on my wedding. I'm focusing on my off season. But
yeah, no, definitely. And sorry to even bring that up. I wasn't trying to insinuate anything. I was just talking about say you get married, would it be in Israel? Would it be here? Because again, if those guys are traveling, hopefully Boris is shelling out some shekels.
Answer is I hope my wedding is in Israel. That's the answer.
Very cool. So you mentioned coming back. You mentioned your off season. Talk to me about what this move's like. I know I think you got 2 more weeks left in the season. What is the first thing you do when you get home and why?
Okay, so actually we have 1 week left. We got, I think, 3 more practices, and we got an away game. Unfortunately, we did not make the playoffs. We did not qualify. We did not perform at the level that we needed to, and that's from an individual basis and a team basis. But the season ends, for me, April 6th, I beg your pardon. I'll take 4 days off. Where I won't pick up a ball, I won't pick up a weight, I won't run. I've tried not even to sweat, and I won't even look at basketball videos. I'll totally decompress for basketball for 4 days, and then I take a plane from Israel, Tel Aviv to New York, and then that next day I'm going to start lifting, and I'm going to do non-basketball workouts for about 3 weeks. That's your yoga, that's your time mile, that's your light jog. That's your heavy lifting. That's your light lifting, plyometrics. And another thing I'm trying this summer, it's the first summer I'm trying it. On May 1st, I'm giving up meat. So I actually am planning to stop eating all types of meat this summer alongside with my training.
And that's for the environment, of course, right?
Nuts. No, when people ask me that, like, it's so funny when people ask me, they're like, "Oh, it's for the environment," and they're so excited that it's for the environment. I'm like, no, it's for me. Like, I'm happy they benefit. So that I don't know enough about that topic, but I just know that I think I'm not digesting meat as well as they should be. I'm 25 years old. I'm about to be in my 3rd season. I need to switch something up. It wouldn't be bad for me to go leaner.
And do you know what that takes out of the equation too? It takes the Wendy's Uber Eats out of the equation. Like, yeah, you can Uber Eats fries, but you're not going to do that. Why not learn how to make like your own homemade fries? Like taking out meat really takes out the cheap calories.
Yep. So we're going to see. Listen, I'm trying it. I'm not saying it's going to work. I got to try something new this summer. How much better am I really going to get in the summer of being 25 years old? I think it's going to be more about my body, my mind,
I don't love that approach. I don't. So, no, actually, no. I do love that approach. But like, I do think you can get better at every single thing you do. Like, you can go back and given your like player abilities, those abilities could be better the next year. But when you're 25, and I felt this a lot this year, you're not going to add new tricks or too many new tricks. You can add a few, but you're not going to add more than 2 new tricks a year, I think.
Yeah, you're right. I should rephrase that. That's a great call out. Is how much deeper am I going to build my bag? Not that much deeper at 25 years old. Can I get into better shape? Can I get stronger? Yes. Can I work on shots that are more realistic in the context of the game? Absolutely. Can my ball handling be better? Always. Okay. Yes, I can always get better. I just don't know how many more moves or how many more reads or how many more types of shots I'm going to learn at this age.
I think everyone should
take what's got me this far.
I think everyone should pick up 2 moves to the offseason, though. Sorry. And, like, I know this is kind of pushing back on you, and I want to hear, like, your process. And, I know your process probably better than most people in the world. So I believe in your process. But I do want to push back on the fact I think you can add 2 moves this summer. But 2. And you got to work on them every day.
Agree. I don't disagree. I think the biggest problem for me last summer, and I'm going to be honest with you, this year was an underperformance year for sure. Toughness and defense aside, as far as numbers, but I was too comfortable last summer. I was too comfortable. I was shooting standstill shots that I was too comfortable. I would have, 3 good workouts and 1 bad workout, or, a really good workout and then 2 really bad workouts. Like, that's not acceptable. So what was I doing? Maybe quantity over quality, maybe, but I don't mind it. I don't mind doing a little more, getting more reps, even though they're not at the highest level. I'm seeing the ball go in more than you are. That's what I'm doing. But this summer, I got to really take care of my body. I've had really bad ankle injuries, and I fought through them because I play for the guys next to me. I don't play for myself. And if they need me, I play. And the doctor doesn't like it. Neither does the coach. Neither does the team owner. But I don't play for them. I play for my teammates. So that's one thing. But I think I just really need to go back to getting into sickening shape. That's what I've been calling it, is shape where it's upsetting to those going against me. And that is what I'm going to focus on this summer.
And it's real, too. It's actually an achievable goal in the fact that everyone in their life at least once, whether it was you're 16 years old on whatever soccer team you were on or you were a college athlete, you felt like that type of shape where it's sickening. It's the only way to describe it.
Right? Like where you have more to keep going, and
they don't. and they're like they're sucking wind, and you're like, okay, let's run another mile. Like let's go more.
Exactly. So I want to get to that point. I think last summer I took too much time off. I started slow. It just wasn't good. So I'm starting right away with non-basketball oriented workouts. Really trying to build my legs. Really trying to build my mind. And from then, starting to attack basketball for a month or 2. Getting ready for the season, go, and let's put this behind us and get to work.
Yeah, no, and that's the beauty of basketball. Once the season ends, you're a new person. Like no one, unless you're LeBron James, nothing's given to you going into a season. Especially for guys like us who are not the most athletically gifted guys, you have to go and take it as soon as the season starts every single year, and you have to continue to perform throughout the year. So that's why it's so fascinating that you're able to do that for your career. And I just kind of want to get inside your head a little bit. Is like you mentioned, you're going to be 25, or I should know this, but you're either going to be 25 or turning 25. You're running suicides, and your friends are doing analyst reports. Like, what is that like? And I know that your personality that doesn't affect you, and honestly, it shouldn't affect you in any way. But it's just cool, and I just want to get inside your mind a little bit on that.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to do it. Like I did the college degree, and I applied to insurance salesman jobs and corporate world. I did it, and then Corona hit, and those jobs weren't hiring; they were firing. So I had to ask myself, like, I've always wanted to be around basketball as a coach for sure, and with my Jewish background, I'm allowed to get citizenship in Israel. And I was always like in the back pocket playing in Israel professionally. I didn't know how good I needed to be or what needed to happen. But I had a good enough senior year in college, which you know about, finishing strong in senior year. Best feeling ever. And so I was able to put up enough numbers and good enough film to get an agent. And once I had an agent, I was, pretty much sat down with my dad and said, like, okay, I'm going to try to be a professional basketball player for as long as my body lets me. And he's like, do it. So right now, it's just Operation Keep the Dream Alive. Actually last year I scored more than I did this year, but this year the rebounds and the assists were up, the defense was up, the toughness was better. And so I don't want to call it a slump, but this next year I have a lot of work to do and a lot of work ahead of me that I'm going to do. And I need to come out and perform at an extremely high level. And what that means, and for anyone listening out there, shooting well doesn't mean playing well. And I'm going to live by that. That's what's going to get me contracts all year. Did you shoot well? Did you play well? And so I like to control how I played, not how I shoot.
In respect, I wish I could have done more of that in my playing career, because I think a lot of my game was dependent on whether shots were going in. And that's just, everyone has limitations as a player, and that was one of mine. So, and I respect your mindset in that way. And
why is that, right? Because
wait, no, go.
And like I want to speak to that, Scott. Like, why is that, right? Why is that you're in your head saying, "Oh, I didn't shoot well, so that means I didn't play well"? Because Instagram and Facebook and Bleacher Report and Snapchat, and people post.
I agree with that. I agree with that, but I have to push back in the fact that I think a lot of it's your own disappointment too. Like me and you know this specifically. When you really put a lot of effort into something and you think you deserve a certain outcome and you don't get that outcome time and time again, it weighs on you. And it's something that obviously it weighs on weaker men. So these are character flaws or just personal flaws at certain times in my life. But when you want something so bad and it doesn't work out, it hurts a little bit. And I think that can only come with hard work, though. Like the people that don't work hard can't have that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't storm forever, right? Like I who wants it easy? It's not supposed to be easy. That's something I say in my locker room all the time. Like, it's just going to be easy. Let me sit back on my reclining chair and let everything just come to me. No, I want to earn it. I'd rather be difficult. I'd rather fight through when it's really hard and I fail. And then when I succeed, it's going to be that much better. So I'm trying to keep that. Listen, I'm saying that. There are nights I've come back from games, I've cried. There are nights I've been like, what the hell am I doing? There are nights I've rethought, okay, like, what is my life going to look like if I'm not going to play? And you fight those battles mentally. That's between you and you, okay? Here's what I do know is I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep fighting. And even if I do keep fighting, it's still not guaranteed. I know that. But I'd rather give it a shot. And so that's how I'm going to hold myself going forward.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. And just going off that, you mentioned coaching a little bit. Tell me about your pursuit of being a coach. I know you're a player until someone tells you can't play, and that's the right mindset to have. But I've always respected the fact that you want to be a coach. It's something different. It's something that's very passion oriented, and it's something that is result oriented. Like it is a pressure cooker environment being a coach. I just want to talk about your mindset being a coach or wanting to be a coach, and what do you want to do with a program one day?
Sure. So coaching, like when I interview for coaching jobs, the thing I always say is like, it's not coaching, it's playing a role in the lives of other people. And that's what I love about coaching. And that's what I love about teams, honestly. You get to play a role in the life of someone else in the format of basketball. And basketball is just a tool for the friendship or the brotherhood that you gain. So like for me, I just want to bring people together as a coach. I see myself coaching either junior college or a university that's not well renowned, and being able to bring guys from all over the country and all over the world to play together. And it's not supposed to be easy, and I don't want it to be easy, and I want it to be difficult, and I want it to be in the gutter and grind. And I tell people all the time, what will my program be? The 3 T's: toughness, togetherness, tenacity, in everything we do. And so I pick up things here and there. Like I've been able to be around really good players, like Tony Douglas and Justin Patton and guys at the high level, Dragon Bender and Ante Zizic, guys who have really been there at the highest level. And I pick their brain any chance I get. I'm annoying. Tony Douglas says all the time, "Nah, man, you're fine. Ask me anytime you want." And so I tried to take advantage of that, not only for my playing career, but for my coaching career.
Yeah, no, and I know you're going to be a great coach. Whatever level you end up getting into, I'm confident that you're going to have great results. So I'm excited for that, but I am more excited for the rest of your playing career because I think your life's work in some ways, I think similar to mine, has been basketball, and that just is what it is. It's the reality of the situations where you focus most of your energy and focus most of your time. And now I just kind of want to look more into what do you do outside of basketball? Like I know basketball takes up a lot of your day. Your job description is professional basketball player. But what do you like to do outside of basketball?
So, okay. So right now that it's changed. For the first year when I got here, I did nothing outside of basketball. I just finished university. Oh, sorry, college in Israel. I did university because college, they don't really know them. So I just finished college and I came here and it was basketball nonstop. I would sleep in till like 10:30, 11. Maybe we'd have a morning lift or a morning practice. If not, I'd wait till the night practice and I just relax. And you got to keep in mind at the professional level, it is so much more intense. So you can't really do anything else. Your body is shot like nonstop. So maybe I'd go in for recovery or maybe I'd go in to get treatment. But besides that, besides the Xbox and maybe some investing on Robinhood, I wasn't doing anything. Now listen, this year that's changed. I said to myself, I don't want to spend 5 hours at the beach. I want to spend 2 hours at the beach and do something else. So I've been actually, training some kids in the youth academy. Like I like to do one-on-one coaching. So one thing I do is like I American drills to the youth academy and under our club. And so that's been a blessing. Another thing is I invest, I do day trade here and there. That wouldn't be called day trading. That would be called swing trading. That's what I call it. So I do like to put money to work in the stock market in a non-risky way, but don't we all? And and the third thing is now I've been recently applying to graduate schools because I have time now to basketball. Realistically, it's 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day maximum. Okay, really 5 hours a day. If we're traveling, it's the whole. But besides that, I think I have now the time to pursue a master's degree, and I've applied to Northeastern and Northwestern, some good schools, and waiting to hear back.
So
And
just
I
clarification on those. Are those, there's definitely remote, I'm guessing, correct?
Yeah. Oh, they have to be. Yeah.
Okay. And what exactly would you be going to school for?
So they're all different. Like Georgetown, it's an MBA and a sports administration degree. For Northwestern, it's a sports psychology degree, very psychology based. The Northeastern one I love. It's called Sports Leadership Management, and they have a mandatory summer institute at Fenway Park, where a lot of college coaches and pro athletes, like Chris Bosh, did this thing. So it's really exciting. It's just to have a master's for sports leadership. It doesn't hurt, and if I have a chance to do it and further myself as an educator and a person, I want to.
It doesn't not just hurt either. Like it is almost a prerequisite for a head coaching job. Not at the JUCO level, but I would say Division One, Division Two, Division Three. Most of those coaches have a master's degree, correct?
True, that's true. And I've heard people say, "Oh no, it just depends on who you know." And I don't know as far as at the Division One level. I do know that it can help me get a job, but it could also help me as a coach. There's no reason it can't. And to believe it or not, listen to this statement right now to all you college kids. 2 years removed from college, I miss writing like an educated, scholarly essay, article, report on something that I'm passionate about. I miss it. I miss being challenged in that aspect.
You can't tell me that.
I have to speak dumbed down. I'm going to tell you why. I have to speak dumbed down English in the locker room for 10 months a year.
That's fair.
I am good. I want to be challenged in that way and be able to further myself. And that's a spark that hit on me within this past month or two. I'm telling you, I would never have said that. I was the guy with a 2.4 GPA. I didn't care. I went to less classes than I can probably count. But now I'm interested in that. And I'm trying to use my professionalism and my career as a ticket to get into some of these prestigious schools.
Yeah, no, and your career has actually done that in a lot of ways. I remember when you were looking for a new school at some point. The GPA didn't necessarily help. It limited your options, but it's cool that you went into such a unique career path that your options are now open. And anyone that's met you knows that you have star power. Like you're one of those guys that can get things done or do something differently that you would never even think in that way. And it's cool to see your career now being able to open up new opportunities for you. And I'm sure it will do wonders for your coaching career as well.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I got to stay grateful and see how that goes. But yes, I agree with you.
And okay, I really like what you just said there. I don't know how much time you have left, but you for someone that's gone for someone that's gone through so much adversity, you have so like the most gratitude out of anyone I've ever met. And I've tried that's probably been the biggest thing I've tried to take from you. But can you just explain your mindset? And I know you have a lot of different feelings about a lot of different things, but you're grateful about so many different things, and just explain where that comes from.
Yeah, I don't mind diving into it, but at a younger age, I had my freedom taken from me, and I wasn't able to behave in a proper way in society, and I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of inability to cope with my parents' divorce and what it may be. And so, I was sent to like programs and to youth detention centers, things like that. And so, at a young age, I saw one, my freedom taken from me. So that's why I'm always grateful that it could always be worse, because you could not have your freedom. And the second thing is that it really can always be worse. And I always remember that. I always remember it can really be worse. We're really lucky. And so even if you're not performing, even if something bad happened, someone else has it a lot worse, and we need to be grateful for what we have. And I think at a young age, just going through that and dealing with a lot of behavioral issues myself and where that put me, I was able to be like, okay, this life is freaking not even, it's not allowed to be messed with, because it's a gift, and I need to continue to practice gratitude, or it's not worth it. And I've had I've been kicked out of schools, I've been suspended, I've been expelled for my mistakes, and I met a lot of enemies along the way. But that it doesn't take away from the fact that all those things have taught me one important lesson, and that if I continue to practice gratitude, I will never have to go down that road again. And so that's what I do. I hold myself accountable to practice gratitude, to understand where I was and where I'd like to go, and what I need to do in order to get there.
Yeah, and that's been one of the most powerful things that I've noticed about your growth, just because we've been around each other so much the last few years, is even like you mentioned, you picked up those lessons when you were a kid and you had your freedom taken away from you. You had to go to those camps, but you also had times when you were older and in college and at university where you weren't seeing the forest above the trees, and you got out of it through gratitude. I think that's what's been so powerful to watch from my end, is whenever I have a bad day, I'm like, wow, it's nowhere close to as bad of a day Charlie had that one time, and he fought, and look where he's at now. So it's been just something that for me, I can't not be grateful after being around you for so many years, because one, obviously I'm grateful. Yeah, I'm grateful for our friendship and everything, but you're the example when it comes to gratitude, especially through adversity.
I appreciate that. My old teammate texted me the other day. He's like, I can't believe you went through all that, BS with you getting kicked out of school and a lot of people saying lies about you and people making things up about you, and you were at a deep end and now you're there playing professional basketball. I always remember that, and it makes me be grateful. And I say to him, and I'll say to you, it's not a contest. It's not about who went through worse shit. All that matters is that if we continue to practice gratitude and be able to understand that it can be a lot worse, that's half the battle. So for me, that's I guess what I pride myself on.
Yeah, no, and so I wanna ask you about college.
Sure.
What was your major first off? I think I know this, but I'm not even 100% sure. And what was that experience like for you? And how did athletics play a role in that?
Yeah, so I actually went to a prep school before college. I actually went to 4 high schools, but I went to a boarding school in upstate Connecticut called Marvelwood, and I played in a lower league where I was able to shine, put up good numbers, and mainly recruited by Division III schools. And I wanted to go somewhere where I was going to be a part of a team and be close to home. So I went to Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's actually Harvard's old campus. Like, it's right there, right next to Harvard. I also like that it was 80% women at the time. If you were 18 years old, who wouldn't? It's a great recruiting method. Shout out Coach G. But by the way, for the listeners, Coach G loves Scott. Toughness wins. I agree. Anyway, I went to Lesley University. Within the first year, we won 2 games. Everyone was like, "You're crazy. Why'd you go there? Bullshit." I believed. Next year, I was a part of the most winningest team in school history. 1 win away from the NCAA tournament. 19-win season. And I learned, here's what it is. There I learned the most important lesson I ever learned in basketball. You don't play for the number on the jersey. You don't play for the name on the back of the jersey. You play for who wears the jersey with you. And that's where I learned that. And, at the professional level, it's much less culture-based, much less team-oriented, much more, let me get mine and call my agent and tell them how much I scored. I am not going to shy away from what got me far. I'm not going to shy away from priding myself on being the best teammate. I'm not going to do it, even if I have to substitute money, because it's about playing the right way. And I'm sure other listeners who are professional athletes are snickering at me. Do it. I don't care. I'm not going to do it. So,
and
anyway.
something that you practice that in your career is, can you tell the listeners about how you've been just raking up charges in the 3rd division of Israel? They're probably gonna have like a plaque for charges in the 3rd division after what you've been doing.
Yeah, so I joke with one of our coaches, like, they don't record charges. Why don't they record charges? I have to have set a record. Last game I took 2. This game I took 1. Last year I think I took at least over 25. I should do something, right? I should put film together of all the charges I've taken. But
also, just speaking of that, do you have any film of that takedown you had? I wouldn't mind showing the listeners that, but I don't have it pulled up, so you need to send it to me.
I can look. I don't think so.
No, it's not a big deal either. But yeah, no. So for reference, Charlie last year, he thought he got fouled. The other guy didn't think he fouled him. His arm happened to be under his shoulder, and Charlie just did a UFC takedown on this guy. And did you serve any suspension for that one or no?
That one I didn't. That was a common foul. That's what that ruined me, because I thought, oh, Israel lets stuff play, and then this year I got real physical and I got suspended. So that was a mistake. But you know what? Can I say something to listeners? And
yep.
Not to fuck. I showed that video to my old college coach, Coach G at Lesley, and he said, "I'm not impressed. You miss a one more pass. You missed a layup. You thought you got fouled, and now you're a big baby and you make a big emotional decision." And this is why I love him. Shout out Coach G, because he's right. I this year especially, like, I let my emotions get the better of me a lot. I like to play with passion. And I'm always a believer that you're a grown man, you stand your ground. But that cost me a lot of money in fines and a lot of games of suspension, and maybe affected my career. So that's another thing I'm going to look at this summer. Yeah.
So going off that, so you're a guy that obviously has a quick temper, and it's not a chirp at all either. Like I have the same thing. So like, what do you do when you get upset? Like other than Not even other than anything. I'm curious what you do, because you have to have mechanisms that control your anger in some ways. And I know obviously sometimes they're not always effective, but what do you try to do at least?
Well, yeah, okay. So here's my rule. This is my rule with basketball and when crossing the line's allowed and when it's not. You're a grown man. You stand your ground. If you feel disrespected, you stand up. If they start something, you're allowed to finish it. I do believe in that. If they start something and you need to finish it for your safety or for your teammates' safety, whether that's verbally, physically, mentally, what that needs to be, you do it. If someone is trying to get you or trying to push you into making emotional decisions, you smile. You smile at them. You smile at them. You laugh at them. They're not worth your time. They're not worth it. So that's why I've changed it. As far as off the court, I've actually done a real good job of staying calm. I do take anxiety medicine. I'm active. My teammates joke with me all the time about it. I take it. It helps me. Feel a little better. It does. I won't lie about it. I'm also, in the 3rd division, where I don't think we're as looked upon as the first division players, and so I'll use marijuana for recovery, just like I'll use it for anxiety, and I'm not afraid to say that. I don't. I try not to use it too heavily. It's not alcohol. I use it in a medicinal way, and that's also played a role in just my mental and physical rehabilitation.
Yeah, no, and that's completely fair too. It's I feel like unless you've had a period in your life where you've smoked weed a lot, you shouldn't have really opinion on it, and especially the relaxation it provides, especially for a professional athlete after destroying your body. So that makes sense. But isn't it in your league? It's completely legal now. Like, didn't they get rid of it in the Euro League?
In the EuroLeague, yes, we're under Israel. I don't know the answer, to be honest.
Okay.
I know that myself nor my teammates have not been tested until this comes out. No, I'm kidding.
At least you'll be
I'm a,
back in the United States. I dare them to ship a pee sample all the way over.
yeah, I swear to God. Yeah, good luck. But no, not that I know of. But it's if you use it in a medicinal way, it's better than beer.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing that I've been noticing just finishing my athletic career. I'm more likely to go drink a beer now, but I'm like that's poisoning my body. Like it's not good for you. And I'm gaining a lot of weight, which is nice, like kind of good weight. I don't know if it's good weight or bad weight, but like just beer's awful. And I can drink a lot of them now, but it's just not as enjoyable as say smoking after a practice.
I agree, and I'll tell you what: if you drink less, when you do drink, you feel the effect a little more. And you asked me about, oh, what's it like seeing all my friends that are now analysts and doing analyst reports? I'll tell you what: their face is fatter. Their face is fat,
And their wallets, like not their wallets overall, but you spend more money if you're drinking a lot because it takes more to get loose.
For sure, for sure. So, I mean, I'm very grateful that I can play. My job is based on my shape, and that it forces me to be healthy in many ways. I love that. Um,
That's what's so
it's
freaking
just
cool about it too. Like I feel like there should be a draw for more people to go into positions that require your body, especially young people like us in your early 20s. Like come on. Like especially if you were an athlete at one point, you can use your body to make money or you can use your body to create things that drive this economy. And I feel like there's such a bad connotation for things like manual labor and things like trying to become a professional athlete because you may not make the most money in the world, but at least you're putting your body to the test, and that just for human evolution's sake, I feel like that has to mean something.
yeah, I agree. I have much more respect for the oil rig worker than I do the Bank of America bank teller.
100%.
And I bet you the oil rig worker has better stories at dinner time.
And I bet the oil rigs woman is more loyal.
Nice.
Because you know what? Take. You know what? Like, at least she knows at the end of the day he can get oil out of that rig. Like on the alternative, there's so many people that could be an analyst. Like straight up, you sit in the desk, you do it, you read this thing, you make a recommendation, blah blah blah. I couldn't even begin to process getting oil out of a rig.
Me neither. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like but I also do have respect for those who work in hedge funds or on stocks or on Wall Street because I have found an interest in that stuff. So I actually do have respect for those guys. It's just different work. It's different work. Not one is better than the other. I think mine's a little more rare. I think they're more common, but that doesn't matter. If we're like I said, if we're both grateful to do what we do, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And Charlie, we've touched on a lot of stuff today. We have some people that want to jump in, but I want you to have your own open space to get whatever you need off your chest. So if there's any other areas that you want to talk about or any other topics that you think we went too quickly over, let's bring them up because I want you to be able to be completely content with this interview.
Yeah, no, for me, I don't have much to bring up besides the fact that I love that you're creating a space for people to talk. And if anyone's listening, like there's just such a beauty in that and bouncing ideas off each other and sharing experiences. And, that's what it is. At the end of the day, we're animals. You know that? We're just a bunch of animals walking around. We call ourselves humans, but we have this animal instinct that is within us, whether we want it or not. And for us to be able to bounce ideas and talk and discuss and live and love and laugh and then also be able to call out and argue, and these are important aspects of being a human. And I love that you're doing it. I hope that it continues to build, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, no, it's been fun, and obviously I'm just so grateful to have you on. You know how close we are, and you know how much you mean to me, and so I think your story is one of the most powerful things that I've experienced in my young 21 years on this earth. So I am happy you got to share it on this space.
Yeah, I love it. Listen, I've been suspended and kicked out of school and thrown all over the country, but that has stayed true to me. And if there's one thing to take away from this podcast, what is it, Scott? What am I going to fucking say?
You are the combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
I love that. I love that. That's also good. I was going to say practice gratitude.
Yeah, practice gratitude. And also, just before you go, I shared this quote with Charlie before he went back to Israel this year, but I'm reading some C.S. Lewis right now, and I just want to bring it to the forefront because I feel like this quote really sums up a lot about what we've been through, Charlie, as friends over the last 8-7 years, however many it's been. But this is a C.S. Lewis quote from his book, The Four Loves, and it's, "Friendship is born at the moment when one person says to another, 'What? You too?' I thought I was the only one." And just coming from me personally, Charlie, I want to thank you for being that other person in my life in so many different ways and helping me out with everything. So I'm so grateful to have had you on, and I hope you have a fun night in Israel tonight because you hit 2 threes today, and that should be celebrated because we know how hard it is to come by 2 threes in a at like professional setting. But Charlie, thank you so much.
Much love, Scott.
And also, you could stay on as long as you need too. I'm just gonna chop it up a little with Will here as well. So if you want to stay, definitely feel free.
I'm actually gonna get ready, but this is great. Will, go kill it, man. And much love to what you guys are doing. I love this. This is great.
All right.
Okay.
See you, Charlie. Be good, man.
Love it. Bye.
All right, Will. Sorry about that, man. It's
Not even. What's up, dude?
We were in the thick of it, so I wanted Charlie to be able to say his piece.
Oh my god, yeah, no, that was funny. You guys are close. Oh, dude, tell me about podcasting. What is it like?
It's kind of hilarious, dude. I wouldn't even call myself a podcaster. I just do it for fun right now. But I think we could maybe build a little following. I feel like we're talking about some important things and really just allowing people to say whatever they feel, which is fun.
Yeah. Are you just like riffing like the whole time?
What does riffing mean? Like off the dome?
Just is there any structure to it, or are you just like having people on just talking stuff?
Riffing.
You're just riffing, yeah.
Which is more fun for me. It's actually a creative outlet. Like I feel myself being able to communicate better after doing one of these than I do before.
Yeah, so like I listen to a fair amount of podcasts. I always feel like the ones that I gravitate towards are definitely like they come across like it's riffing, but there's definitely like a lot of pre-planning that makes it so organic. And then like the ones that are like actual just like riffing, just guys saying random shit, I usually don't like those. So I'm interested in to see how this goes. I'll try to keep up some more. Keep sending them to me, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. Do you have any comments on anything you heard from Charlie? I know you caught the tail end of it, but
dude, I was just dying. I was dying laughing at you guys talking about the oil rig worker versus the hedge fund, bro.
It's true. The oil rig worker's sick, and you know this because you've done the manual labor route.
Well, listen, I'm by no means like a day laborer. Like I have no idea what that lifestyle is like.
True.
Like I'm a yuppie. Like let's be honest.
Yep, same. So
I know what you're saying though, dude. God, I wish I had a pseudonym right now because I don't know how much I should say, how much I shouldn't say. But yeah, no, I do think like this is my most like fascist like belief that I have, and I do think like we should make it a priority in our society to put kids in youth sports. And I feel like you like that, just like manipulating your body, getting beat up, and like getting like your hands dirty like that is like a good way to, I guess, restore that like what you're talking about with like people not having a good sense of like manual labor in their life. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's not the same, but so many people kind of grow up and don't have any sort of like physical experience, and I feel like that's just like plaguing society.
Yeah, no, and you do have a lot of team sport experience, so I appreciate you bringing that up because I do think team sports are crucial to like child development. I don't know I'm sure you agree with that too. But do you think
Yeah,
there's
no,
any
for
sports
sure.
in particular that are specifically are more oriented to drive like character growth?
Dude, and this is not even a team sport. The number one, like, learn about yourself sport is wrestling.
No, okay, yeah, wrestling's up there. True. I would
Dude,
put tennis up there too.
I think, like, yeah, all those, yeah, tennis too. Dude, like, the concept of wrestling, like, you lose when somebody put you on your back and there's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no pride in that. And, dude, talk about learning how to, like, come back from shit is going through wrestling. I don't know. But I don't know, man. What do you think?
I think tennis for individual like growth. I think you need to play one of those sports, and I don't think I did growing up. But like the tennises of the world, the wrestlings of the world, like you're alone out there. Like you really just have to figure out like who you are as a person while you're out there. Also, while you're like pushed to your brink physically, which is cool. But no, I think team sports are really important. I obviously have a bias towards basketball because I think the 5 people on the floor, no one wearing a helmet, being completely vulnerable is it's huge for building self-esteem. It also can kill self-esteem, but once you conquer just the fear of what a basketball game entails, it's pretty cool. And then again, football, because I think there's something to be said for how much contact there's in football, how much it makes you feel. I don't want to say like primal, but yeah, primal. Like you're straight up trying to fight.
No, I mean it's a barbaric sport. It's fucking awesome. I love it. I'm a football guy, but I know I'll go back to basketball for a sec. Like one thing that I like always appreciate about basketball is it like you have to. There's those moments when you need to be physical and you kind of need to. I don't know. You got to stand your ground, be tough, right?
Yeah.
Hubert Davis, you got to stand your ground, fight. But then there's those moments where it's literally all about touch and it's all about finesse. And one thing, like you could find yourself in a position in football where like you don't have to worry about finesse at all. And I think that it's kind of like a yin and yang thing. Like you need a good balance. And I think basketball, it definitely does that. You know what I mean?
No, I think as I've gone older and played more basketball, played more competitive basketball, I truly do think basketball is an art. And I think more so than football. But I also would say tennis and all those other sports are arts as well. I would say wrestling is 100% an art. But there's something to be said for different shapes and sizes of people going out and trying to put a round thing through a rim. And there's just so much that goes into it that it's fascinating to me. And a guy like me, I've always struggled. I'm not physically imposing at all. But there was just some like if I just put in a little bit of a fadeaway, no one could touch it. Then it's up to me. But you just have to find yourself in positions where you can manipulate it to your own advantage. But sometimes shots don't go in, so that's what the beauty of it too. Like you can do everything right and the shot won't go in. But I think the fact that you can manipulate the game to a point where you can use your dimensions and your expertise to your advantage is cool. Dude. It is.
It's artistic. Yeah, I mean, I think football is too, though. I just think football is different because it is like you have like everyone goes out there with like a job, and it's so specific, and it kind of lends itself to having just a diverse spectrum of athletes. Like you have big ass motherfuckers who have no business like on a soccer field, but they have they're strong, they're quick, you know what I mean? Like, and they can thrive in football. And then you can have like the little guys, and then you can have like the tall, lanky guys. Then you can have the guy who's a great athlete, but he's an arm and he's like a leader. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's the dichotomy, the dichotomy of man. Like when you look at the kick, you have the kickers, and you have Aaron, and then you have Myles Garrett. It's like you need all of them, though.
Yeah.
All right, government. You just hopped on, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is my partner, Government. You guys got to talk for a few minutes because I have to go to the bathroom so bad. I'll be right back, though.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, not a sexual partner.
Yeah.
No, Gov, it's all right. I wasn't thinking that.
Okay, good.
One sec. That was an awkward moment. I'm asking you, what do you think about podcasting so far? How's it going?
I don't know. It's a lot of fun, and I feel like in a lot of ways it isn't really podcasting. I don't know if you know our background, but we kind of just started on the Twitter space and just I don't know, we just talk, shoot the shit for an hour.
Yeah.
And we used to be closer. Together, I used to live in Colorado, but I moved away. So this is a good way to stay connected with Francisco, and
Yeah, no, I think it's cool. I think, it's definitely more kosher than the original versions.
Right.
Right.
Oh, so you were there. You were there.
Yeah. You send me. I would check them out every once in a while. Those are hilarious.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun, but definitely cancelable. So
yeah, I feel like when you kind of teeter that line of cancelable though, that's when you get like the best content.
Right.
And a dangerous game to play, but
yeah, we missed that. I mean, there's some things I'm very okay with saying, like fat people are really disgusting and stuff like that. But other things I try and avoid.
Yeah. Well, I think like. Oh, go ahead.
Well, we can continue this because I was going to shift for a sec, but go ahead.
No worries. It's you guys' show.
Well, you guys really we had a Professor Stonks on yesterday, and it's just nice to have new people, fresh voices. It's just honestly like a good way to have conversations, and like maybe try and be funny, or at least think that we're funny.
Yeah. No, how do you avoid like the awkwardness sometimes? Because those moments come. Yeah,
right. For the most part, like I've always lived by. I'm a person that loves talking to people. Just in a general sense, like if I go to a party or something.
Oh yeah.
Just so our viewers know, I go to parties and like I'm cool as fuck. But nothing has to be awkward, and embrace silence. I mean, for the most part, we don't really struggle with that because Francisco and I are people that like always have a lot to say, even if it's just gibberish or stupid or meaningless.
Yeah.
So it hasn't really been like a big problem of ours that's come up. I mean, we usually come into this with like a few things that we want to talk about. But we also found it as like a really good exercise to just like freestyle almost. Like it's a really quick thinking exercise. Just, I don't know. I think it'll help in a professional setting. Like if you were worked in sales, I think this would be a great thing to do.
Dude, also,
what are your influences?
Sorry.
Like what podcasts you listen to?
Well, I've always been I was on the OG Joe Rogan train, and then COVID and like every podcast he just talked about COVID. And I was like, I don't want to hear about this anymore. So I'd say he definitely like influenced me from the beginning. But I still like whatever. I just don't really have feelings towards him. I listen to Come Town a good amount. It's like a comedy show.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And then Tim Dillon I listen to occasionally. I've been trying to get into
Rambler.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like us in some ways.
He actually will say anything.
Yeah.
I love him. Once he starts talking about the JFK stuff, dude, it's off the rails.
Yeah, that guy is hilarious. And he is, I mean, when you're making like probably $50K a month on Patreon, you can say whatever you want to say.
Yeah. So, Lit, I'm actually happy we have you here because we were planning on talking about UNC today, and you happened to just be on. But so we got a few things. First thing, we want to start with Eric Church. I don't know if you're familiar with his music.
I love it, dude.
And did you see what he did this week?
Yeah, it was awesome.
I agree.
Wait, can you guys tell me what he did?
He canceled the show to go to the Final Four.
Yeah, I guess he wants to watch it with his family. I guess they're all big Carolina fans.
Yeah, I don't know if he went to Carolina, but I think if you're raised in Carolina, you're just a Carolina fan.
He was born. He was born in North Carolina.
Okay. So first off, our question was, Will, do you think he deserves the backlash? Like, can you at least understand the backlash or no?
Oh, 100%. But what he's getting at is like, what is the most beautiful thing about America is you drive through, rural Louisiana or you go, you're bumfuck Mississippi. Like you have devout college sports fans. And it is like one of the most unique things. Like there's no other country like that where like there's people obsess over universities, over kids playing sports like that. Like, yeah, I'm sure like there's different like soccer enclaves around the world, but fucking American sports, American college sports is a beautiful thing. And to see somebody obsess over it like that, that's all I'm trying to be one day is somebody who obsesses over college sports as well. So
okay, Will, I love that. Like now that you're a UNC student, you have the opportunity to cheer for like one of the coolest programs in the country. Like whatever sport they're in, that they're pretty fun to cheer for. So that's exciting. But you said you want to be a college sport fan forever. How do you feel about like the older men that go to high school games?
Great question.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, listen, man. You can't really compare the two. I think those guys are weirdos.
No, but like, and
No,
like,
they're looking for like young ass in the bleachers. I think.
really? Because
No,
what about like our buddy? Like we have a buddy's dad that goes to like every single
No,
of our
I mean,
town
like,
sporting
yeah.
event. He obviously just loves sports, but like watching
Yeah.
the sports at a high school level is a little weird for me. Like I went to a bunch of high school games to support like one of my coaches there, like this year, and it was weird.
No, I take back everything I just said there. Here's what I think, though. I think we're at a weird age where, like, it's so close to us. It's not like, I don't know. I feel like there's like a threshold, and once you like get over that, then it's cool to go back to games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're like Tom, can I give names? Like, if you're Tom Clancy and you're like going back and watching the Warriors play, like that's cool. Like with your kid and you're like with your wife, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. But like my dad coached the youth girls team, and so he'll go to the high school games. But I'm cool with that because he ran the WBA, like he got a lot of these people started in basketball, so it's cool to see it come full circle and see him play in the high school arena. But anyone he would go with, I think, is strange. Like I'll tell him that. Like he's like, oh, I went with him. I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, why'd that guy go with you?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like when you have like kids and stuff, it's different.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Like I have no good perspective on that, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like parents are just like bored too, honestly.
Yeah, and like I don't know.
Okay, yeah, we can move past this too. It's not too important. So one thing that comes from that North Carolina stuff we were talking about was, first off, J. Cole did decide to just stream the game in the background. I kind of love that, but his fans are therefore not mad about the cancellation, but they're going to have to watch the game behind him at a concert, which is kind of sick. And then going into just something else about North Carolina basketball, do you see what the North Carolina governor said?
No.
He said that North Carolina is now the center of college basketball. How do you respond?
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know, it's weird. Like, I came here like not too familiar with. I mean, everyone knows like Carolina basketball, but like I wasn't too familiar with it. But there's like an expectation where it's like Final Four, like national championship every year, and it's not a realistic expectation. So when you're bred, you know, what they say, Tar Heel born, Tar Heel bred, Tar Heel till I'm dead, or some bullshit. Like if that's you, like I get it. Like you can say out of pocket and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm not gonna get caught up in it.
Hear me out. I don't think it's out of pocket. North Carolina has some really good basketball. But I do think the DMV has the best basketball in the country. I think the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area has the best basketball, but I would say the Carolinas are probably second. Like they had Zion, they had John Wall, they've had a lot of really good guys out of Carolina. I don't know if Max. What's your fact checking ability right now?
Good to have you back, Max. By the way. Yeah, I can look some stuff up for you.
All right,
for sure.
Max, can you look up what is considered the best area for basketball in the country?
Yep, sure can.
Sweet.
Got to be they had that whole doc on PG County in Maryland.
Yeah, Lit. Did you see that documentary at all or no? Lit, did you see the KD documentary? I forget what streaming platform was that on.
No, dude. I'm not a basketball guy. I got to brush up on this stuff, dude.
Okay, we can move past this, but we do want to get an answer from Max. I do want the answer from Max because I think Max, we missed him and we just want to get him involved again. Max is our Jamie Lit.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, so Lit, I know you're new to the Carolina rivalry, but how do you feel about Coach K?
Dude, I just think the funniest thing ever is how Barstool has basically mobilized like every bro in America to hate Duke. It is awesome and hate Coach K.
Yeah, no, it's actually it's a cult.
That stuff it's awesome.
Like no one should really hate Coach K, to be honest.
No, you should.
Why? Like I don't even understand their points.
What do you mean?
Going into the opposing team's locker room is fucked. I don't like that. That happened to me this year. I was pissed.
Do you I don't know. The whole retirement tour thing is valid, like making it all about himself. And I guess what makes it so bad is like the media's obsession with Coach K and like in the cocksucking that they do, like that is what drives us crazy. You know what I mean?
He deserves the cocksucking though.
He deserves it, straight up.
He's a winner.
Well,
I honestly think Coach K is the Donnie T of college basketball.
But like it's honestly like ridiculous what they do, and it completely taking the glory away from the players. Like you guys should understand that.
Yeah, that's fair. I only know one player on their team. Like,
have you never had like an asshole coach? Like,
oh, trust me, I know.
I don't know.
No, it's I will tell you this. One of the things that
Coach all time.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like Max is talking. Max, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so in terms of high school students going to college, the states that produce the most college basketball athletes, number 1, Texas, number 2, California, number 3, North Carolina.
Wow.
As far as which states produce the most NBA players, California is 1, Texas is 2, and New York is 3.
Is this per capita or total?
Capita. This is total. I could
Per
look.
capita
I could find
changes the game.
per
That
capita.
makes sense.
It
Then.
does. Yeah.
But that means North Carolina's an outlier.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, North Carolina. So I guess the governor wasn't capping.
It wasn't capping. Are you guys ever like think about like the show, like what makes like, or just have like respect for like the Joe Rogan podcast and guys like that who are just really good at podcasting?
Yeah, we're trying to get Alex Jones on.
And it must be like anything where you just like the more you do it, like the better you'll get at it.
Yeah. I mean, for some things, I think some people are just destined for like some people just can't get better at things, and some people are just like born great.
I guess so. But I guess he's just like he's such like a fluid brain. Like he can just like go back and forth between topics like so fluently. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I
and
can't
the
say
Alex Jones bit. I mean, Alex Jones can do that pretty well too, but I think he's just schizophrenic or something.
Well, I mean, he like, yeah, exactly.
government. When was the last time you probably listened to some Rogan? Like, I don't think I've listened to Rogan since like the COVID pandemic.
Oh yeah, I mean, I listened to him a few times during the COVID pandemic when he had someone interesting on.
Oh, do you guys listen to that? Do you listen to North Korea one?
No.
That one was
What do you mean?
crazy.
The North Korean refugee one?
Yeah, that one was one of the most nuts things I've ever heard. So that was probably within the year, actually.
Don't even believe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Honestly, after Joe Rogan molested Neil Young, I kind of just stopped listening to him.
Dude, I couldn't even name a song by Neil Young. Is that bad?
Yeah, that's bad, dude. He's like an all-time. He's a rock and roll Hall of Famer.
Well, you know.
For what?
What did you say? Will?
Some of Neil Young, right?
Yeah, you could definitely recognize. He has a very specific voice.
Yeah, and like all of his songs are kind of like
old man. You know.
Take a look at my house. You know.
I'm looking up a song right now. I need to.
Like Down by the River, I Shot My Baby.
Neil Young and Crazy Falling Rock Horse.
All right, I'll listen to some of these after, but I'm not kidding you. I don't know one of them.
Yeah, you did.
What about?
The craziest thing is he thought that like him taking a stand was gonna do anything.
Dude, that's the best part about these celebrities. They actually have the craziest egos to the point where like he actually thought people knew who Neil Young still was. Like obviously you know who he was, but you don't care about him.
Well, it's just the audience that you know what I mean. Like he's just there's too much of a generational gap. Like so many people know who Neil Young is, but like the people who are listening to podcasts and like actively using Spotify on their phones are not his generation. So that's the issue.
Yeah. No, it's true.
But
it's like going protesting climate change at Williams College. Like you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah, we actually talked about climate change today in class. It was pretty funny.
Dude, at Williams, they used to have kids who would just stand outside of different buildings and like protest their Friday classes and just wear these like signs. And they're doing that at Williams College. Like that's a good use of your time.
Yeah, your parents are paying $70K for you to just skip and
you'll make a difference.
Infographic.
Oh, this is
it's like going to protest at an echo chamber.
This is a big infographic podcast. We're pro infographic. We think that those do a ton for like driving social change. So we're pro infographic. What's the best?
What is that called? Or what is that?
Virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Wait,
there are a lot of words for it.
Lit, what's your favorite
Yeah.
infographic you've seen? It could be satirical or it could be real, but I'm guessing it's gonna be satirical. What's probably the funniest one you've ever seen? Because I see them like when they come on my timeline, I can't help but laugh.
I have two good ones that come to mind. If you think about it well.
Yeah, I might need some time to think about that one. I think every time there's like an Israel-Palestine trend, it's the best.
Yeah. And they last. The funny part is they last for like a week and then people forget about it.
My favorite is like the photo, or it's like not Photoshop, but it's like they're like, they show like the mobilized policemen for like the BLM protests, and then they show like the policemen at like the Capitol riot, and just taking at completely different times and then putting them next to each other and being like, this is what's wrong with America. That one is hysterical.
What does that even mean either?
Yeah.
What the biggest one for me that comes to mind is like the fat phobic one. And it was like, here are 5 things you need to know about fat people.
Oh, those are the best. Yes.
Like if you go to the gym, you're fat phobic. It's like kill yourself.
Yeah.
Almost roles in class. That's actually a distraction. You remember in high school when they used to like send girls home if they weren't wearing enough clothes? They should send fat people home until they get skinny.
You know how part of my take they do like a reading?
Yeah.
Where like Monday reading, like and they just read something really funny, like Darren Raffel tweet or something. You guys should start doing it like a reading where you just like find something absolutely insane.
We should do infographic.
I have some opinion articles that I could send you that I thought were just so fucking funny.
Yeah,
send
no,
them
actually send anything over you ever find because
Yeah.
it helps to be informed to do this because to talk for an hour, you kind of need to know what's going on.
I don't know how much time you guys have, but I really think what you should do is just like add a little bit of structure to this where like you have certain things planned, like maybe even just bits.
No, yeah, we've been
100%.
told that. I mean, I feel like our first 2 episodes, or like our first one on Twitter Space, it wasn't structured necessarily, but we were the most prepared for it. Maybe
we were the funniest on that one too.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I mean, we were drunk and didn't care about our repercussions.
Yeah, we've kind of gotten more serious about it in the last like week.
Well, yeah,
in the way we talk, like we actually were just trying to do like all bits for an hour, which was fun as hell. But like today was honestly just a special edition episode too. I this was the only time I could have gotten Charlie on, so I just decided to jump the gun and get him on. But,
he was like really introspective and deep. I was like, oh shit,
dude,
I thought we were gonna go fuck around for some.
You should go back and listen to his stuff about like living in Israel. It's actually fascinating. Like I actually learned a lot from it too.
Yeah, I think I'd probably learn a little bit more though from an Israel-Palestine infographic.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, those are awesome.
No, and the best were the type of people that would post like the pro-Israel ones and the type of people that post like the pro-Palestine ones. Like no one actually knows what the hell was going on. Like very few people that I've ever actually interacted with know what the conflict was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a hilarious concept that people dedicate 40 years of research to the conflict and still don't really have a good answer. But, you know, like someone, Becky took Western Civilization 101 and now she understands everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what makes me like so sketched out about the social media platforms. Like I don't know what would have drawn someone to post one of those like things, but like it's brainwashing. Like the people that post it don't even care. That's the scariest part. Like they're literally just posting it because they think they should.
Yeah, well, I think like a lot of it is driven by white guilt, honestly.
Yeah, no, you're right. We talked about white guilt on one of the first few podcasts. I think
white guilt kind of like infiltrates people's every move.
No, true. It does.
And like that's like kind of like, yeah, exactly.
I've since we've talked about it because we didn't really touch on it because honestly I've always just thought it's kind of funny and like I've been thinking about it more and it's just bad phrasing. Like obviously it sucks what some white people did in the past in terms of like the Atlantic slave trade and stuff like that and just some historical events. But guilt isn't really the right word to describe it. You know, like I didn't do it, so I don't feel like personally guilty for it. But I do understand that it was horrible, and like I feel bad, but I don't feel guilty. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think the argument or the counter argument to that is like the way society is structured. It's structured to benefit white people. I guess you. I assume you're white. And
I'm actually
I think,
I'm transracial, but
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
No,
It's
my
all,
thing is my biggest issue
it's all
with
postmodernist thought.
yeah, no, the
Yeah.
postmodernist movement, I do understand it. Like that's the craziest part about all these movements. Like even if you read Marxism, you understand it a little bit, but when it gets to looking at everything through a lens through the past and not towards looking to the future, I feel like you just get lost and nothing gets done. And that's what's been
Yeah.
all these like activist movements over the last 5 years.
Yeah. Well, also my
crazy.
thing about like, Will, you brought up a good point about like how in a lot of ways I am kind of better off, and it's just I don't know. It's just like okay, well, if white guilt does exist, then like what do you do with it? Like,
Yeah, that's the
we're
$1
gonna
million
talk about
question. It's what do you do?
Yeah, like where do we go from? Why are we bringing it up? Like,
Well, I'll be honest, and this is like, I think like as our current in day and age, like I think we're actually doing a great job. Well, let me be careful.
No,
with my
I
words.
agree. No, I agree. Go with what you're
I
saying.
think like we're kind of solving the issue right now.
yeah, and obviously it's not perfect, but I mean, we're about to have an African American woman as a Supreme Court justice. That would have never happened, however X amount of years ago. You know, like obviously it's not like we're not in the most equal society, but it's not what it was in the '60s or the 1800s or any time before then.
Also, we
Yeah.
forget that like the United States of America is young. Like all these other civilizations that have come before us had the opportunity to figure these things out, and they didn't. And the United States has survived long enough to have the chance to do that. And I feel like some of the steps that are being put in place are helping the problem in some ways. Like obviously, it's not a there's no perfect solution. There's no solution that's going to be better than any other. But I feel like there are at least people are making proactive decisions in order to address the problem.
All right, here I have an interesting thought or question to ask you guys. So this is like a loaded question, kind of maybe too like historical for the occasion. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I go for it?
No, go for it.
All right. So in one of my classes, I was reading this guy, Alexander Dugin. Okay. He's basically Putin's, brain trust? Is that the term? He's like Putin's brain trust. He like is the intellectual who kind of gives Putin his guiding principles. And he was talking about the big issue with like Russia and like in adopting Western civilization is everyone was behind the Iron Curtain and they didn't go through like a scientific like revolution of like postmodernism that the Western civilization did. So then when the Soviet Union collapsed, right, and Western culture like is pervasive and it finds itself in Russian society, everyone was like, oh, like we're like traditionalists, like we don't understand this shit, and it didn't work, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys think that kind of happened in the U.S. as well, though? Like with some of the poor and uneducated areas where like people just aren't willing to accept this stuff because they didn't go through the previous stage of like scientific revolution. I feel like we still like have that in this country, and I wonder what you guys think.
I have a weird take to that, and government, if you want to get into yours that's directly attributable to what he just said, you can do it. But I think
explain that. I feel like I didn't. I'm kind of hungover today.
No, don't worry about it. We're hungover every day. We're on I'm on like a day 30.
That makes sense. Do you follow?
Yeah, no, it does make sense. And the thing I'll say to that is I can see what you're saying in areas like Appalachia, Virginia are like missing that post World War II, but like modernist movement in the 60s and 70s. And then Russia just takes over this. They try to do capitalism after those scientific or how'd you describe them again?
Yeah, I don't think I did this well. So the idea is like the reason why Russia's so fed up with the West and hates all is because we try to impose like liberalism on them when they really weren't ready for it.
That's
when
fair.
They didn't go through the stages that led to like pervasive liberalism. And I feel like we have that same problem going on in the U.S.
I think the stages that lead to pervasive liberalism just continue to change, though. I think even if they went through the same ones that we went through at that time period, then they would have went through similar ones when they started, and that's probably why they got out of it. I just think they had, due to their independence and the fact they're such a large country, and due to their lack of, I don't know, they just don't seem very friendly as a nation, and I think that's why they were more likely to just be very isolationist. And it's cold as hell there. They're probably just like angry people. So they didn't want to do like the democratic liberalism thing. They wanted to just like make sure they knew where their food was going to come from, knew where their water was going to come from, and knew who their president was going to be or who their whatever leader was going to be.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I'm talking too much.
Well, no. I just wanted to add on to that. I think, like, I know this is a very cliche answer, but the biggest difference between the Soviet Union and the United States was just like a matter of individualism. And during the Soviet Union, even like artists, people in artists, writers, painters, those guys that were like kind of meant to express themselves and kind of show these different perspectives of what was going on in their society, they weren't able to do that in the Soviet Union. And I understand what you're saying, like maybe West Virginia and Appalachia, like those kind of parts didn't really kind of get that individualistic revolution. But in a lot of ways it's different because we do have the internet and it's uncensored. Like we have so much, like sure they might not have access to a lot of things or as much things to kind of be able to go through those revolutions themselves or in those areas, but they still do have access to, like they can go to a 4-year college and learn about these things and get on a laptop and go on anything from the New York Times to Reddit to 4chan to all this shit. So, I mean, the tools are there. They might not be that accessible. But I think that there are people definitely in the U.S. that haven't really been able to go through that revolution that you're referring to, I think. But I think it's possible for them, whereas in the Soviet Union or current Russia, it's not really as applicable for them, maybe. I don't know if that made sense, but...
No, that made sense. I mean, I think that's valid. I just can't get over the fact that every day I walk to class and there's a whole like row of Bible beaters who have these signs like, does Jesus love you? Like, come talk to us. And they have like cookies and stuff. And they expect college kids to come walk by and find God and drop out and join them. And it's just like they're so foreign to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think another thing that's funny that they do is like if they see a woman walking by in a tank top, they'll just start calling her whore or something. So
yeah, we haven't had that yet, but or maybe we have. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, guys, we've been on for like an hour 20 now. I think we should probably look towards wrapping up just because we got a lot going on. But Will, like, it's actually been a blast having you on the podcast. You should come on some other times when we have some set topics. We'll give you a little insight into what they're going to be before. I feel like this is a good space for you. I kind of
put a damper on things with taking a weird direction. But,
no, there's no such thing.
You know,
there's no such thing as a
weird direction. I'm a big
direction.
history buff, especially when it comes to communism. I eat that shit up. So,
history is amazing.
It's a hard thing, podcasting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Max,
but also, in many ways, it's not. It's pretty easy in some ways. So.
No, it is pretty easy. You should hop on. It's actually like a blast too.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun. I need a pseudonym or something.
Any tips for getting this out to people too? Like we've been taking a pretty low key approach towards marketing. We've been just taking care of the content on our end, and again, we have a lot of work to go in terms of creating the content. But that's been our priority focus. So when people eventually find us, they have a lot of content to look through. Any advice for us?
Well, I was about to ask. So, what is this? Are these like practice sessions, or like what is this? Are you setting this out somewhere?
We have a Twitch account, so we've been starting to post stuff to Twitch.
Yeah, we're on Twitch right now.
Yeah, I have no idea how this shit works. I don't know, man. I think about how my brain works, my dumb brain, and like I want to find everything in the same location. And where do I go? My podcast, do the Apple podcast thing, right?
Yep.
And in terms of like getting it out, I don't know. It depends what kind of model you guys want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's nice with Twitch. We can stream, so like people can get in on the chat, and then we can go on Zoom and get people on Zoom. So
Yeah.
just a matter. I honestly, like, we've kind of been soft launching this for a while. We call it a flaccid launch, but we've been flaccid launching this for a while. So I guess if we really do want to kind of take off, it's got to be more representation on our socials.
Yeah, honestly, now that I think about it, that got me thinking. I feel like Lit is right in the fact that it has to be on Spotify or Apple Music because you're not going to go somewhere else. Like, I like listening to Barry McCockener's podcast on SoundCloud, but I'm not going to go on SoundCloud to listen to it.
Yeah, and like, how serious you guys take this?
What was that, Lit?
How serious you guys want to take this? You want to do one a week?
We've been doing one a day. We've been doing one a day for the last week and a half.
Yeah. So just
realistically, probably like once shit gets busier, probably once a week at the very least.
Yeah. We're going to play it by ear too, but we're just trying to get as much like content down right now because we switched platforms. So now like Twitter Spaces only has one saved. Whatever it's called has two. Twitch has two saved, or it's going to have two saved. It should have three. We need like 50 subscribers to post some stuff. So it'll be nice for when we get 50 like subscribers, we can just like post a few videos that people haven't seen yet, which would be cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like if you're going to go casual, you kind of just send it to your friends, buddies, whatever, and you see if it kind of catches on. But if you want to like go all in, like I feel like it's a completely different approach, right? Then you start getting like social media, building that presence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we shouldn't even make any decisions on that until like probably after Easter. We should just like do it for fun, make content, and try to have as much of it saved as possible so people can at least follow us if they want to. But yeah, we're not too worried about that at this stage of the pod.
Yeah, I imagined.
It's just fun, honestly.
You can get like a routine going too.
Yeah, like set times would be great because then we could like when we had that one with a bunch of people like tuning in, it was actually a blast. But that was on Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, well, like the Bill Burr thing, he does one like every Monday morning, like 5 a.m. and like it's just a ritual thing. He just goes, and he talks about sports and like different like trending news, and it's kind of fun to listen to. It's one guy, so as you can imagine, comedian master at it. But if you guys get a routine like that, I feel like it would just catch on naturally.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yes. So kind of like a theme that we've been hearing from a few different people is just structure. Structure.
That's why the interviews are fun too and lit. We could probably get you on for a more formal one at some point. I gotta figure out what angle I want to take on it, but I think people would actually really enjoy Rez's interview. And I don't know if you caught the one from yesterday, Lit, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's interesting. I don't think I have that much to say.
Yeah,
we've been on for an hour. I mean,
I'm talking about my life, I guess. No, I don't know.
We don't have to. I mean, it's just we can talk about your opinions on what's going on in the world, whether it's Will Smith or Deshaun Watson or stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta go. My laptop's about to die, but again, guys, this was a pleasure. Dylan, can you stay on for a little bit just so I can make sure I get this all situated?
Yep.
All right, Max and Lit, it's actually been a pleasure. We appreciate all of our listeners, but you guys are in the contention for weekly listeners of the week. I think Lit probably is the advantage right now that since Max already has one, and this is a narrative-based award. But we'll get to that later on in the week, and again, we'll hopefully get some more content for you guys throughout. Government, you got anything you want to say?
No, man. Just hit the stop recording button, and we should be good.
Sweet. All right. Peace out, gentlemen.
Get it, boys.